Hi guys, we're just gonna wait a couple of minutes for our alumni to join in, but thank you so much for joining. And we will have everyone ready to go in just a second.
Hi.
Hi guys, how are
Hello.
you?
Good. How
Good.
are you
How are
doing?
you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
Incredible. Well, thank you for everyone who's watching, as well as thank you to Valbina and Christian for joining in today. Um, my name is Katie Chappelle. I'm Sai's digital marketing and social media coordinator. And today's theme for our little alumni panel is just mastering studying abroad and what are some key tips for a successful term abroad. So today we're joined by two Sai alum who serve currently as Sai ambassadors, both Albina and Christian. And our Sai ambassadors are a group of carefully selected students who've completed a Sai program with us and our recent alum. The program also provides all of our alumni the opportunity to share their own study abroad experiences with prospective students and also build their own knowledge of international education. So let's get to know the two of you guys. Can you guys share a little bit about the program that you guys participated in?
Sure. I can go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Balbina Gonzalez. I'm currently a senior at Baylor University, and I studied abroad last spring, so my junior year, and I was lucky enough to be in Paris for the full semester, which was amazing.
Hi, I'm Christian Capello. Right now, I'm a junior at the College of William and Mary, and I was studying abroad at John Cabot University over in Rome last spring. Yeah.
Incredible. Well, for all of the anyone joining us today, if you have any questions, just feel free to add them, comment them down below. We'll get to those questions at the end. We've also got a few questions that have been submitted prior to this, so we will go ahead and just jump right on in. Do the two of you guys have three quick tips about thriving abroad in general, about school, culture, social life, mental health, whatever you might choose?
Yeah, I can go first if we want. So I guess for me, like one of the biggest things was, and I've realized this like a little bit more recently, when you first get there, just kind of like observe everything. Because even if you've been to that country or city specifically before,
Mhm.
it's very different when you're visiting than when you're like actually preparing to live there. So I was paying a lot of attention to like how full people's baskets were at the grocery store and like little things like that that will make you like fit in a bit more.
Mhm.
And going with that, just go outside, like explore your area, explore where like your school is, like all that fun stuff, so that you and try and get to know that like as quickly as possible, so you don't look like a
Mhm.
tourist and you're just like Google Mapsing your phone like everywhere, right? And yeah, I think that'll make you blend in a lot more. And, obviously stay on top of your schoolwork. I always said that like my agenda, like it's me and my agenda till the end. So it's great to plan everything in advance because you will be traveling a lot, most
Mhm.
likely over the weekend. So even if some homework is due Friday night and you can get it done Wednesday morning because you have nothing to do Wednesday morning, go for it. And try and stay ahead of that so that you can make the most out of your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are great points, especially like getting a feel for your area is
Mhm.
fantastic because you really want by the end of your program, um, if you're smart about it, you could just know your city like the back of your hand, and people will say, "Hey, I want to go to this restaurant. I want to go here. I want to go there," and you'll just be able to get there. You don't have to worry about having your head down, looking at a phone to navigate. You'll just be able to do it, and it's so great to have that confidence. It's even great. You might have times where tourists might ask you for directions, and then
Mhm.
it's really great when you get to point out where to go. So that's another thing. But yeah, the professors, I know, especially at John Cabot, were really, really amazing. So definitely try and familiarize yourself with them as soon as possible. One, because they're going to help you with your education, but also they know you're a study abroad student and they want you to have a great time. So they were super helpful with giving advice for traveling or food, whether it was in my host city or if I was going somewhere else. They were really knowledgeable. And then
Mhm.
the last thing I think I would say was probably just get a few language essentials down. Um, whether it's asking for directions or how to order food or just saying hello to people on the street. It'll give you a much better time with locals. Um, at least I know in Italy, people really appreciate it if you just try it a little bit. And
Mhm.
it helped in instances too where people's English might not be so great. So it is good to have a little bit of common ground. It'll help in a lot of instances.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah. I forgot to mention earlier, I'm also a Sci alum. I studied in 2017 in the Florence program. So I completely agree with everything that you guys have said as well. So that's incredible. Well, okay, so about the pre-departure process, a lot of our students are, especially summer students, are getting into that point right now, where they're finishing up their term and or just hitting the midterm and going, okay, where am I going to be in 3 months, 2 months, in some instances, a month? Um, how did you manage your pre-departure nerves, worries? Issues that you had yourself going, oh my gosh, I'm cracking down to the last few minutes, and it seems like, and you just need to, you feel like there's so much to do and so little time.
Yeah, for me, honestly, the biggest like stressor of the pre-departure process was because I studied abroad like as a junior and I had already taken most of my gen eds. It really was just like finding what classes were going to be useful because yes, obviously you want to have an amazing time abroad, but you still want to take classes that you actually need and not just for the
Mhm.
sake of going abroad, if that makes any sense. So, but I feel like that's more of a like personal thing.
Mhm.
Overall, I didn't really feel as anxious, to be completely honest. I was just kind of like, okay, it's going to be crazy to be this far away from my family for, because I ended up staying a little bit longer, so like almost 6 months.
Mhm.
But, I only took, I made home that I had like this one thing of food that I always had at home. So whenever I was like homesick, that was my remedy. And it got me through all 6 months. And yeah, like that's really all I can think of for pre-departure nerves. But make sure if you really want to like have those intentional like last little
Mhm.
hangouts with your friends, last little hangouts with your family and all of that stuff because once you come back and just be like I'm so excited to like tell you guys all about it whenever you're back. And I'd say that would also like be good to just mentally like keep in touch with or make sure that you're trying to keep in touch with your friends and all of that stuff as for pre-departure jitters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget where exactly I heard this, but I really like it and I kind of take it with me now. But it's like if you were to describe the feeling of nervousness, but also the feeling of excitement, they kind of come out to the same thing, like where your
So
heart starts
true.
beating fast and all this stuff.
Hmm.
So when you're sitting around kind of counting down the days to your study abroad and maybe you are starting to feel nervous, I think if you kind of make that mental switch of, no, I'm really excited, and then maybe you can plan out what you're excited for, like, oh, I really want to try this dish or I want to go see this site.
Hmm.
And then you really kind of just turn that fear into excitement. And when you get there, it's just going to be, it'll take some getting used to, but you'll be so happy once you actually get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna add on to that a little bit because that's actually great, Christian. Of just like make a list of things that you're excited to do. I'd say that's
Mhm.
pretty great to do before you even land, because then that way you already have maybe two, three things that you're like dying to go see, and like that first weekend you'll be able to be there, and like that'll get you even more excited for the rest of the time that you have. So
Yeah, I love it. I'm a little mini bucket list for the first couple of days.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, about once you get there, is there anything that surprised you about the local culture in your time once you got there?
Oh, I think I know I was a little prepared for it, but it's definitely worth noting because I think it could take a lot of people off guard. Is especially in Europe, everybody's very well dressed going to
Mhm.
classes. Even going to the supermarket, people sometimes get.
Oh no, I think your audio just cut out, Christian.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
think your audio just cut out a little
Oh,
bit.
did it cut out? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
could
yeah.
see you're
sorry.
Okay,
finishing up.
you're back though. You're back.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just saying, fashion
Yeah.
is a big thing, whether it's going to class or even going to the grocery store. A lot of locals will get dressed up,
Hmm.
so it's something to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk definitely more about that in the packing panel as well. That'll be a
Yes.
great one. Yeah. Okay, Bobby, no, go ahead.
Honestly, I was pretty lucky because
Mhm.
I just love France so much. So I was like, I'm pretty. I did my research and everything, and I also heavily relied on my uncle because my aunt married a French guy. So
Mhm.
whenever I had any questions, I was like, "Hey, Fred, like, what's up? Like, tell me, give it to me how it is, right?" So I'd say just like try and do as much research as possible, and like but at the same time try and figure out like what are stereotypes and what aren't, because you don't want to get
Mhm.
there and be like, again, I'm going to talk about Paris for example. You're not going to get off the plane with like a red beret, right? And be like, oh yeah, I fit in so well, and then realize that like literally nobody else is wearing that except you, or like
Mhm.
maybe another two three tourists. So just like try and avoid those stereotypes. There's honestly, I'm gonna say it, there's great like French influencers and stuff on TikTok. Just like
Mhm.
see their day in their lives, or even like Americans that have lived in France or Paris for so
Sure.
long. And I'm so confident that you can find so many more for like Spain and Italy, all that fun stuff. So yeah, just I would say try and do your research, and for the first few days that you're there, just observe.
Yeah, Italy also
Absolutely.
has a lot of resources for that, so
Mhm.
Mhm.
even just a little bit of time, and it's fun because it builds the excitement too when you're researching.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you start planning out your outfits, planning out what you're going to deal with.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, incredible. So moving on to the school part of it, what would you say is the biggest academic adjustment that you dealt with while studying abroad compared to your home university?
Baylor's not a huge school, but even then, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I was at the American University of Paris, right, with Psy, because there's a couple different options in Paris, but I did notice that the classrooms were like a lot smaller than what I'm used to. Like I'm
Mhm.
talking, um, my finance class, which at Baylor would have easily been like 35 to 40 people per section, here was somewhere between like 8 to 12 people. So yeah, I'd say that was like the biggest shocker for me, just the classroom size. But again, it was an American university, so I didn't feel
Mhm.
like that much was different, other than just the size of the classrooms.
Yeah, same thing with John Cabot in Rome. Classes were a lot smaller. I think my smallest class was 3 students.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, some of them were really small. But then you had other ones that were maybe 20 or so students.
Mhm.
Um, and the only thing to kind of keep in mind with that is the class style is going to be uh,
Mhm.
slightly adjusted. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but expect at least at John Cabot they were more presentation focused.
Mm-hmm.
And there was less exams. I think I only had a couple exams, um, and they weren't even the main focus of the grade. It was really about
Sure.
papers and presentations.
Yeah, you're right. I had more essays than exams. I mean, obviously I had um exams for finance because it's kind of difficult to
Yeah.
do an essay on finance. But even then I did have a presentation for it and like all of the everything I did for history were uh, essays and presentations. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but I think that that's like it's so specific to like I don't want to like just promise that. But keep in mind maybe that that might be more of the vibe instead of exams.
Yeah, absolutely. As a Florence alum, I'll kick in for Florence there. Mine were all almost all presentations and papers. For example, I took the Italian American history of the Italian American or something like that. And it basically followed the, going back to why Italian Americans emigrated from Italy to the US. And we learned about that and then had to write a paper on a specific thing. And so it was, kind of fun to see a lot of the kids in my class wrote about their families and stuff like that. So you can kind of deal into much more unique papers and situations for the classes. Well, thank you. Okay, so getting into the advice section, um, what is a piece of advice that you wish you received before you went abroad? I know most of our students that are probably in here right now are summer students and Maymester students, so they're just kind of ramping up for a much shorter term than what you guys did. But yeah, do you guys have any tips for them on anything you wish you knew beforehand?
Yeah, I will say like even as a full semester student, so I guess this is going to apply a lot more to summer students. Time is so limited. Like you don't
Mhm.
really realize how fast it goes until you land one day and then you blink and you're like halfway through April and it's like what
Mhm.
happened, right? So I'm gonna go out and guess that it's gonna feel a lot faster for people doing mini masters or just a month. So really, I would say just really, really take advantage of your days. Again, I'm going back to Paris for a sec. I didn't have class at all on Wednesday because like most professors just didn't give their classes on Wednesdays, which was great because that way, you did your schoolwork Monday and Tuesday night, and then maybe if you had a trip planned, you would just like either lock yourself in your room on Wednesday and just get everything done and then not worry about it for the rest of the week. Or what I would do is I would go to like museums and stuff a lot because who's going to be at the museum on Wednesday morning, right? Take
Yeah.
advantage of those things. So like really plan. And yeah, even though you could technically wake up at noon, it's better to wake up at 8, 9 a.m. and go do
Hmm.
something cool because to sleep, like you can sleep in your room when you're back home. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but I kind of do wish somebody had told me that or like had emphasized it more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
especially like I think when you're at your home university, like in the US, it's very easy to procrastinate with work.
Yeah.
But when you're abroad, if you could just knock out your work as soon as possible, um,
Hmm.
it's great because you want to have that free time and you kind of always want to be able to say yes if somebody is looking to go somewhere, try something. If you could say yes pretty much every time, then it's really great. So definitely get your work done as soon as possible, and then you'll find you'll have a lot more free time for exploring your host country.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of on that topic of exploring, do people usually travel on the weekends? I know you guys are both in long sessions, but we have a question here in the comments about specifically about short sessions and staying in their home base since it's such a shorter session. And Also, do you have any advice on how far in advance to plan for weekend trips?
Yeah. So I did travel a lot during weekends, but like I said, it was a long stay. One of my best friends though did also study abroad with Sci, but she did it during like summer one or whenever it was. So
Hmm.
that was a shorter stay, and she definitely did do some trips. I would say that her weekend trips were more like were more still in France instead of. Oh, okay. Sorry, something popped up. They were definitely more in France instead of like going over to Spain or something. So she would stay in Paris and then weekend trip to Lille, to Normandy, to Bordeaux, like all of those fun places. Um, I think that the easiest way in that sense is she told me like through train tickets, like you don't really need to book them that far in advance.
Hmm.
But definitely monitor. There's that like rumor or urban legend, whatever you want to call it, that plane tickets are usually cheaper on Tuesdays for some reason. So yeah, just those and like Skyscanner is your best friend,
Hmm.
all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I was also a full semester, but based off of how often people I know some people who uh traveled every single weekend of the full semester. So I would say it's probably a pretty safe guess to say that even on the shorter ones, people are traveling
Hmm.
and making the most of it, going new places. But definitely it is easier to go in with less of a plan than I think here because
Yeah.
you don't have to worry as much as the prices getting hiked at the last second. I know there were some trips that I kind of planned on a whim.
Hmm.
Um, like I think when I went to Barcelona for a weekend, I kind of planned that trip almost the week of, uh, and it ended up being okay. And even if you want to, especially actually if you want to travel within your host country, it's pretty easy to travel within a little more last minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, selfishly, I also just want to ask, what was your favorite weekend trip that you guys went
Oh
on?
God. This wasn't really a weekend trip because it was technically during our spring break, but I'm gonna count it as a weekend trip because we were really only there for like
A couple of
30
days.
36 hours or something, like something ridiculous like that. Edinburgh. I fell in
Okay.
love with that city. We arrived. Oh my God, we flew in so late and then took the bus to like go downtown to where we were staying. And it just looked so beautiful that we literally just tossed everything in the room, walked around at night,
Hmm.
and then woke up at like 6 a.m. or something. No, even earlier than 6 a.m. To do King Arthur's like seat hike or something.
Okay.
So we did that, then breakfast, then like showered, got ready, and just like went out the entire rest of the day. And then from there to the airport. So like that was insane, but you can do it. Were we tired and falling asleep at the gate? Of
Hmm.
course, but
Sleep on
it
the
was still
plane.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing and it's such a beautiful city. Like I
Yeah.
highly recommend. So yeah, I'm gonna count that as my weekend trip because that was actually less than 36 hours in that city.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit too and name a stop on our spring break trip and just say Paris because
Hmm.
Of
um
course.
yeah, it's such a great city and I coming out of it, I really was thinking, man, I wish I had more time to see Paris because there's so much to see there. Um, but going off your point of sleep, there are going to be times where you could say, well, I could do more and get less sleep. Um, and sometimes you have to make that choice, just
Hmm.
because uh, this could be a once in a lifetime opportunity, really, to do this much traveling and this much sort of an adventure with people your age. So it's so great. I remember I think it was actually going into spring break. I had some friends who were like, "Hey, we're going to check out a jazz club with the local Roman jazz band playing." So that didn't start till super late, but I had to catch a flight to Germany the next morning. I'm like, well, I could sleep on the flight, and that's all right. That'll be my sleep.
Yep.
So sometimes you
Oh
got to
yeah.
do that.
The amount of
Absolutely.
times that I went from the club straight to the airport is
Yeah,
should actually be studied. I'm not gonna lie
right.
to you. But it really does depend on the person because I will say this, take care of yourself and all of that
Hmm.
stuff, know your limits. I know that I can function like pretty well on like less than 4 hours of sleep, right? And
Hmm.
that's just and I don't do caffeine, like, nothing like that because it just messes with me really bad. But there are some people that are like, even if they sleep 8 hours, they need two monsters to function. And like
Hmm.
it's all up to you. So that's my little disclaimer of like, yes, we're preaching all this stuff of like, yeah, you can sleep later, but also like, please take care of yourself because
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
we don't want anything to happen, obviously.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
catch up on weekdays with your sleep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, we've got a few questions from that have been submitted from some students, so I'd love your guys' take on those. We did have a student ask that I'm currently doing my best to learn as much of the language of my host city as I possibly can. How much do you think I will have to rely on my own language abilities while in abroad and also in class?
I was at an American university. All my classes were in English, so
Mhm.
like at least I didn't have to worry about that. I haven't, correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, but I haven't heard of anyone,
Mm-mm.
right? Like all of the programs
No,
are in
the
English for
The
school.
only program that has more classes in Italian is the Siena program, and that's
Okay.
purely because they are more of an integration school.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really depends on the school. Apparently, unless you're going to Siena, you'll be fine. um, but yeah, I would say, try as best you can to just get around daily life, so you're not struggling at like a restaurant or if you need to ask for something is like those types of things or just any interaction that you would have in
Hmm.
in your day-to-day life here. If your daily part of your routine is ordering a coffee, make sure you know how to order a coffee. Whatever you do here most, just practice that. And I will say, like, even because the French have that stereotype of being like really mean and everything, I bumped into a lot of people that were very understanding or like, no, you're doing good, like little corrections here and there. So I think that is like mostly gone, at least from my experience. So yeah, just try. And I know one of my best friends is Italian. They love it when you try their language.
Hmm.
So just go for it. Don't be scared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, everybody's gonna have a different level. I was kind of that was one of my goals was to actually improve my
Hmm.
Italian. But I know a lot of people who got in the program and didn't speak a lick of Italian and they were just fine.
Yeah.
And you are gonna fairly quickly actually pick up the routine phrases.
Hmm.
So if you're going to order a coffee,
Yeah.
um, you'll be
You're gonna
able
hear
to.
it and pick
Yeah.
up on it.
Exactly. You'll
Yeah.
pick it up. You'll probably look it up once you realize like, oh, I'm asking for an espresso every day. You're gonna look up how to say it, or even better, I know in Rome they were so nice. I had friends asking the I'll say bartenders because they called the cafes bars. Um, but they'd go in and they would say, "Well, how do I order something to go?" And they would
Hmm.
explain it, and they were all super friendly. I don't think we had any bad interaction. So if you're trying and making an effort to learn, then I know that a lot of locals are super happy with your effort and
Absolutely.
will even help.
Yeah.
And I will add to it as someone who was an Italian minor when I was studying abroad. I went to focus on speaking Italian. Most of the time, I would start speaking Italian, and they would hear my American accent with while I was speaking Italian, and flip over to English and just go, "This is just easier."
Yeah.
So
And that's okay
it's
too,
Yeah.
it's
absolutely
yeah.
if it. I'm like, if they just don't have the time, that is a okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Incredible.
I am also going to say this real quick because I know that I touched on like Paris and Italy in general. I'm Mexican. We love it if you try and like speak Spanish. So it's hard, and I will be the first to say that Spanish is a hard language, but just go
Mhm.
for it. I feel like we're pretty open and encouraging. So really, really, I just want to put it out there. Like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're fine. People know that you're learning, and the fact
Mhm.
that you're even willing to learn at all is already speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's a great
Incredible.
point. It's the first couple times when you're walking down the street and you're like, maybe I should try. It can be very nerve-wracking to
Yes. Hmm.
start
Mhm.
implementing those language skills that you were studying. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And even if you only know a few phrases, just getting comfortable saying those few phrases and not getting worried about tripping up or forgetting something, like just go for it.
Mhm.
People aren't going to judge you. They'll understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and with that of people being understanding, is it easy to make friends while you're there going if you're going by yourself? Is it easy to make friends in general while you're studying abroad?
Yeah, I would say 100% yes. I mean, there's so especially during like if your school, I'm assuming everybody's school does orientation.
Mhm.
Um, they literally bunch us in a group of like, hey, these are all the study abroad kids, like go, right? Pretty much like make friends. And that was so great. It was actually just my birthday yesterday and
Happy birthday.
Happy
thank you.
birthday.
To my point to that was two of the closest friends that I made while abroad literally called me and FaceTime me. They're like, "Hey," and
Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
and one of them's Italian actually, and the other one
Mhm.
lives in New York. So I would say that like we make a good effort to like try and stay very close.
Mhm.
So there's that advantage, and then also just make friends within your side group. It is
Mhm.
so easy, especially because you'll keep seeing them with like their Viva experiences, and
Mhm.
your roommates. Talk to your roommates. They're great. So yeah, I would say it's pretty easy. Just
Yeah,
Absolutely.
be friendly. That's it.
exactly.
Yeah.
It does. There's a little bit of, it's the effort that you put in. You got to be
Mhm.
friendly too. But I when I went, um, I didn't really know anybody in my program, so I was kind of a blank slate, and it ended up working out really great. I made a lot of friends. You're gonna make friends inside, outside of Psy. You're
Mhm.
gonna meet people who are locals that you'll be friendly with. So yeah, get people's contact info. I know I stay in contact with a lot of people, and it's great. And then when you come back, you could keep making plans, whether it's traveling somewhere new
Mhm.
or just finding reasons to go places. I know some friends right now want to do a trip to Nashville, and they're people I met through Psy, so it's a really great opportunity to build those connections.
Love it. Love it. That's so great. For another quick question that was submitted from some students, what do you recommend packing that isn't very commonly thought of? And I know we'll get more in depth into this question in a couple of weeks,
In the packing section.
but
Yeah.
I just would love to know your thoughts on that off the top of your head if you have something.
I'm gonna reiterate just seriously my homesick cure was this,
Mhm.
like I said before, I'm Mexican, so we have this thing called machacado, which is like it's it's gonna kill me to say this. It's kind of like jerky, but in my opinion, a bit better. Um, but just that little thing. It was like actually a bag maybe this big,
Mhm.
and that just gave me a little taste of home that I
Mhm.
really needed sometimes. So either that or like a candle or like a specific scent or like something like that because I know that those are like the strongest things that'll kind of like bring back a memory. So if you're ever feeling
Mhm.
homesick, something like that instead of just like pictures of your family because you have photos you can look at of you know on your phone, you'll be fine. um,
Absolutely.
yeah, but I think that these are stronger if you feel like you're gonna get homesick really bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I think a journal's a good one. That's like something
Mhm.
I picked up a little later in the semester. And once I did start writing things down, I was very happy because it kind of acts as a little souvenir as well. But it's a great way to reflect. Um, on everything you're experiencing. So definitely a journal. And then an adapter. Make sure you have the
Hmm.
EU adapter. It's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so many.
Incredible. Well, thank you. And also, then the last question, we just got one comment that just came in. What were some of your guys, did you guys go on any sci excursions, sci vivas? And if so, what were some of your favorite excursions? As well as if you had any favorite activities that you guys did across the board.
Oh God. For
There's a
the
lot that all the
excursions,
students do every year. So
there's
it's,
so many. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the excursions, we did a day trip to Lille, and then we did another day trip to Monet's house, like in Giverny. So that were those were both great. Monet's house is like surreal, honestly. Those were both really great days, really fun days. And what was it? Oh, the for the Viva activity specifically. I think the one that doesn't change much is just the like, what's it called? The like end of the program.
Mhm.
Yeah, that last like dinner.
The
It's
farewell
so
dinner and
nice.
the welcome dinner.
Yeah, the farewell
Yeah.
dinner. I think that the farewell dinner specifically, because you look,
Hmm.
or I did have that moment of looking around like, wow, I did not know these people existed like a few months
Yeah.
ago, and now they're like
Yeah.
some of my best friends. So that's very nice. But then there's also really fun ones like for Paris specifically, we went to learn how to make croissants and baguettes. That was great. And then we had a really random like escape room day. So, some things
Right.
where you
I
can like
remember that.
learn. Yeah, some things where you can like really learn like huge cultural things or and other things that are just fun because that's how
Yeah.
you connect with friends. So yeah, I would also encourage to just go to as many as possible. Like I wrote those down on my calendar the second we got the
Mhm.
schedule for them.
Yeah. The Viva experiences are amazing opportunities, and they're 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 great because you're already with Psy, so now Psy's
Mhm.
providing you these opportunities, so they're so easy to get into. And there's some really great ones. I think my favorites were there was a day trip to Tivoli, which if you're
Mhm.
not familiar with Tivoli, it's not too far from Rome, and it's gorgeous. I mean, you get to see these beautiful gardens. You have a great lunch. Specifically, the restaurant we were at overlooked this really deep gorge, and it's just something you wouldn't even kind of expect, but it was awesome. And then I really enjoyed um the opera night. We
Mhm.
did a night at the opera in Rome, and that was so cool because that's such a unique experience. But a little note also too is if you're at a host university, a lot of times they will also have excursions, so check
Mhm.
those out. I know John
And field
Cabot.
trips.
Yes,
Um,
also exactly. And John Cabot, specifically in Rome, had a bunch. And there were some really cool ones. I think my favorite was probably when we went down to Campania and we got to see Pompeii. We were a little outside of Naples. We didn't go in Naples.
Mhm.
But you got to see I'm blanking on the name, but it's a huge palace, and they've filmed a
Mhm.
lot of movies there, Mission Impossible, Star Wars, like all these crazy things. And uh, the if you sign up for the school trip, they'll take you there, and you get to see it, and you're with a bunch of other students, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, in Florence, one of my field trips that's still to this day sticks in the top of my brain is a trip to Parma and Modena to learn how they make Parmesan cheese and balsamic vinegar. And it was a very delicious field trip for
Yes.
my cooking class. I'll tell you that right there.
And if
Sounds
you go to
delicious.
Modena, you're very close to the Ferrari
Yes,
headquarters
that's
and the
another great
museum
one
there.
too.
So you could do both while you're up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just take advantage of everything. Like the Viva experiences are already there. Might as well just do them because I don't regret
Yeah,
going
if they're
to a single
included, you
one.
might as well.
Exactly, yeah.
You've
Yeah,
already paid for them, basically.
Yeah.
exactly. So they're free, girl math.
Yeah, girl math.
Exactly, exactly. Yes.
Incredible. Well, thank you guys. I know I held you guys a little bit later than we had originally chatted
Okay.
about, but thank you for so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone who stuck around and was joining us on the live. And Thank you again for sharing your wonderful information. If you do have any questions specifically for our alumni, for our admissions team, you can, you can always send a message on Instagram and I will be able to answer that. You can always send an email over to your admissions counselor or admissions@sciprograms.com and they can respond back to there. And then also, if you have a question that you would like to ask an alumni specifically, you can always ask us, and our ambassador team will be able to reach out to those ambassadors for you. So thank you so much. We've got next week, we've got another alumni panel, another two alumni panels at 9 a.m. Pacific and 3 p.m. Pacific on Monday on all about how to budget for a term abroad. So we've got some another great four alumni joining, Christian included, for
Yes.
that. So if you want to, feel free to add that to your calendar. I've got it linked at the top of our profile as well. So we will see you next week. Thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, you too.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And
Yes,
thank
good
you,
luck
Katie.
with your study abroad.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.